What's going on, everyone? Jonathan here with the Venue RX podcast. And there are so many topics when it comes to thinking about venue ownership, operating a venue. And my guest today has a lot of experience in this in a very interesting and unique way. And I got connected with her through some other professionals in the industry. And after learning about her story, I realized that we had to have her on to the podcast to really discuss venue ownership and discuss how venue ownership really meets maybe the needs that you might have or what you might be looking for. I know many people are excited and passionate and maybe hopeful that one day they will own a venue. And so here to talk to us about that today is May Yeo Silvers. Thank you so much for being here on the podcast.
Thank you for having me here, Jonathan.
Well, you're a podcast host yourself. Is that correct?
Absolutely. My podcast is called The Unstoppable Eventrepreneur.
And I love that. Eventrepreneur. Very, very cool. A play on entrepreneur. I love it. It really is such a pure entrepreneurial venture. I feel like there's always ups and downs and so much unexpected stuff that happens in this industry. Tell me a little bit about your background and how you first started in the event industry as a whole.
So I'm originally from Singapore and I graduated with tourism management. And my very first job was actually at the Raffles Hotel as a food and beverage management trainee. If you have watched Crazy Rich Asian, where Nick and Jessica were staying at that hotel, that's where I used to work.
Wow.
So I was, it's a great, beautiful hotel. And I had a really good foundation built from there. So I was working there as a management trainee for a year. And that's where I know that events is in my blood. Food and beverage events is in my blood. And after that, I pursue my studies in hospitality in Switzerland. So the Mecca of hospitality. So I was there for almost 2 years. And then I said, that's it. There's no other things I would do in my life except to plan events and be in the hotel business. And that's how it all started. So I started working in hotels, in high-end hotels. Once you go up, you can't go down.
No.
So all the hotels that I work at they're all 5-star, very luxury hotel. And as the food and beverage manager, director, and catering and conference services director, so events director. So events is in my blood. And in 2012, April 15, 2012, I started M2 Hospitality, which is my event planning company. So we are 10th year in business where we're recording this podcast. Wow. And best decision ever. I left the hotel business after more than 15 years working for other people, making them millions and millions and millions of dollars selling their venue. I was like, I need to have a life. I want to have a family and I want to make my own money. I want to write my own paycheck. And I started my company. Never look back.
Wow. That is so inspiring. And it's the story I think that so many people maybe aspire to. Someone, listening to this on the podcast or even watching on YouTube, like saying, hey, I am currently in hospitality in some way. I would love to own a venue one day. And so your story truly is inspiring because you kind of accomplished that and you have what you do now. So I have a question though about M2, and I have another question about the podcast in a second. We'll get to that. But M2, at what point was there like a moment where you knew that you had to start your own thing because you were sick of, being an employee, or was it more gradual? Did you kind of start it and also work and then slowly work less and work on your business more? Was there a gradual transition, or was it like, I'm quitting today and then tomorrow you start?
I'm glad you asked this question. So if you listen to my podcast and you have followed me on social media, you know that I don't sugarcoat, I give it to you the way it is. So in my mentorship program, the Unstoppable Eventrepreneur, same thing. You want to have a business, fantastic. Let me tell you what it really means to have a business. So when I was working in the hospitality industry, I love what I do every single minute. That's why I don't mind working the 80 hours a week. Mm-hmm. However, I always feel that there's a better way to do something, because so many of us are rule follower. You're afraid to color outside the lines.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are doing something and you know there's a more efficient way to do it, but you can't get to it because you have to cross all those red tapes and you have to wait for management, you have to wait for ownership. And it'll be like, by the time I get all this done, I would have saved you $1 million. So why wouldn't you do that? And I wanted to do things my way, and I become frustrated with inefficiency. Put it this way, I become frustrated with inefficiency. I also become frustrated that why am I building other people's dream? I want to go back to Singapore every year, but every time I go back, I will have like 3,000 emails waiting for me. So there's really no time for myself. So, but I was also afraid because I was earning a really good paycheck. I was afraid to just go all in. And I don't suggest this to anyone, okay, that you go all in until you know your numbers. And one of my podcasts was the 10 rookie mistakes. So this is mistake number 1, going all in without knowing your numbers. So I went to talk to my HR person because I was holding a senior management position. Mm-hmm. I went to talk to my HR person and I said, hey, listen, I just want you to know I actually started a side hustle, but just know that I will still have my full dedication. When I'm at work, I'm at work. Mm-hmm. Okay. But I don't like to hide things. I'm an open person. And they say, it's either you shut down your company or you quit. So.
Wow. So they kind of gave you an ultimatum.
They gave me an ultimatum. Wow. So I thought about it for a second. I said, I quit. And because of my position, they have to walk me out. And the director of HR actually carried my box and said, you make the best decision. Even though they gave me the ultimatum, says, you're smart. You make it work. This is probably the best decision you're ever going to make. And I found it really funny because they had to follow protocol.
Yeah.
And that protocol didn't take into consideration the amount of money that I made for them, but mm-hmm. It only was a very short-term vision. And that's also the reason why I decided I could never work for anyone. So, and I started my business. And just like many business owners, when they started their own business, they start worrying about where am I going to get all these leads, right? Then they start focusing on building the leads, their pipeline. And that's what I did. And then I got 2 clients, and then you get so ecstatic. Oh my God, I finally got 2 paying clients. And then all you did was to focus on those 2 clients, right? And then you forgot how you get those 2 clients in the first place. You forgot to build your pipeline. And then the events were over and realized that, oh no, I got no more money coming in. And then, okay, the first month, it's okay. Second month, you see your savings going down. And then the third month, oh my God, no more money is coming in. Then you start to get the panic mode. And then I went to look for a job. I went back to what I was doing. So this went on for like 2 times. Okay. Finally,
Did you go back to the same company?
No. I worked for another company. Yeah. Also, I was doing hotel opening as well. So That's my specialty, opening hotels, building hotels from ground up, or taking over a hotel, rebrand and revamp and then sell the space. Wow. So this happened 2 times. Okay. Instead of taking the time to build my business, I went back to my comfort zone of making a steady paycheck. And then I met a boss who was a Cruella. And I was like, why would I subject myself to this again? And my daughter came. I was like, and I looked at that face. I said, no, I'm going to make my own destiny. And for real, this time, after like I would say 1.5 years into the business, I decided that that's it. I'm going all in. Mm-hmm. So for those of you who are thinking to start your business, know your numbers and know your risk appetite.
I love that. I so love this because I actually had a very similar experience, and I haven't talked about it yet on the podcast. And I want to share this, but going from being employed in the hospitality industry and kind of this boomerang process back and forth, because you're not totally sure, is it going to pay? And then you see the security of a paycheck, and that resonates with me quite a bit. That's fascinating. I want to ask you a question though. So as in the intro, as I'm talking here, I think there are a lot of planners. There are a lot of photographers. There are DJs. There are people in our industry whose vision it is to one day own a venue. And so from your perspective, because you mentioned that you've opened all these incredible properties, either to be sold or to continue on, and you mentioned you have a specialty in this, is that a good goal for everybody? I mean, everyone wants to own a venue. Give me your take on that.
I think you have to ask yourself. It's just like people say, I want to have an office. I want to have an office space. I'm going to ask you, why do you need an office space? What's the office space for? Is it for your ego that you are legit? You have an office, I'm legit. So being legit equates to having an office so that you can like go to work, which is your business, and then you can invite your customers to come to your office so that you are like a legit business. Well, I'm sorry to burst your bubble. You go to your customers, not the other way around, okay?
So true.
So you don't need an office. I work from home. This is my house is an open concept. So I'm in my 9 feet long kitchen island. I sit here, I look out to a beautiful view of a park where my estate is. And, I want to go grab something, I go to the fridge. So I watch TV, I watch over there. So why do you need an office? Just like a venue. Why do you want a venue? And some of the event profs tell me that I want a venue because in my community, we don't have a place for people to gather. I want, their homes are not big enough to host parties. And all the other venues are like dumps. I want to have a venue that they feel welcome to come together to celebrate and make memories. I say, fantastic. That's a great mission. And the rest is like, well, I think that having a venue, same thing makes me legit. Okay. Or it's all about ego, that I have something to say that, hey, look, I have something to show. So I want you to start thinking, what exactly is the motivation for you to have a venue? Because if you are a planner and you own a venue, that means you just limit yourself to only doing events at one venue, which is your venue. Okay. So as an event planner, we have free pick of venues. Why do you want to restrict yourself to one venue? So you have to ask yourself, what is the reason why you want to have a venue? Some people say that it's an asset, right? Yes, absolutely. It's an asset. So if that is your long-term goal as an investment, we're trying to make money at the same time, why not? But there are a few things that you need to consider when you're owning a venue and how to make it profitable.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here. May, I want to own a venue because it makes the most money, right? And I want to maximize my returns and maximize my profit. And I feel like I'm not able to do that in the current role that I'm in as a planner or a DJ or a photographer or whatever. Have you had people say that before as a response to when you ask why?
They wouldn't say that I want to make the most money. They probably would say that I want to make money. Okay. And then that's when I say, whatever you're doing, are you not making money? Because that's fundamentals of making money. That means you're going to know how to price. You're going to know how to manage your finance. You're going to know how to do sales, right? So I want to find out exactly why are you making money at whatever you're doing right now? And why are you not making money? Because the same principle is going to apply to owning a venue.
Regardless of if you have a venue.
Yeah, regardless. If you can't get the fundamental right, you're not going to make money by owning a venue. So maybe certain things will be different in terms of how to market the venue is different, but sales is sales. So I want to find out why you think that owning a venue is going to make you more money when someone comes to me with that question.
So what are common misconceptions then that you see people, because we've talked about maybe the reasons that some people think that they want to get in, and you've listed out a couple of questions that you kind of challenge people on, like, why do you want to get into this venue space? But what are some of the things that you find that are kind of these like illogical premises, like the building will give you legitimacy? Are there other things that come to mind that you hear that kind of, are along the similar vein?
I think a lot of people, say planners, okay, or decorators, designers, they feel that they want to own a venue because they want to be able to provide everything under one roof, like a one-stop shop. So they have a good intention. The intention is to make it easy for the end user, and to have a beautiful venue where they can come, where they will have people who's able to provide the catering, the decor, the planning, and the venue itself. So the intention is great. And when they share that with me, I will ask a few questions. I'll be like, have you spoken to other venue owners? What it means to be a venue owner? And a lot of times the answer is no. So they have an idea, but they haven't spoken to people who actually are operating venues to know what it means to be a venue owner. And I will ask questions like, currently what you're doing, how are you building your network? And what kind of events do you do? And why do you still want to continue doing what you're doing? And incorporate that service. So this is one common thing that is shared with me all the time. I'm an event planner. I want to eventually own my own venue so that I can provide my services at my own venue. Mm-hmm. So I will ask, how is that any different providing your services to another client who wants to do an event at another venue? So the answer is, well, the money comes back to the same pot. So I say, that's great. So they're actually thinking about from the money perspective, like how can I make most money from one client? That's when we can. So that's a legit reason why they want to own a venue.
Maximizing the profits. Absolutely. Yeah. So as you're going through your career, your professional career, helping launch these venues, were they pretty much all in the hotel space?
Correct.
I'm hearing that correctly. Okay. At what point do you typically get involved with a hotel venue? Like at what place in the life cycle? Construction, or is this kind of when they're already built, but they're just bringing on their team for HR?
So a lot of times the hotels that I have done the openings for, that means that they are rebranding or they're rebranding the hotel, or it's a brand new hotel, is they have already determined the event space. They've already determined the event space, but nothing is built out in terms of, they have already determined how the look of the space is going to be. But nothing is built out in terms of the budget, how much money they want to make from the event space. How should we sell the event space in terms of many rooms, single rooms, partition, no partition, and also the market that we're going to market ourselves to the industry. Are we going to be known as a venue that is for companies or for social events? And so my role comes in to determine their positioning and their pricing and the sales and marketing message.
Wow, what an
hiring and training as well.
That's incredible. That's such an incredible place to be, and I think that matches up so cleanly with what you currently do. But I have a question. This is maybe just a selfish question that I'm curious about while listening to you talk about this. What portion of a hotel's concentration or mindset is really on events versus on the stays and the kind of hospitality? Because when I think of a hotel, and this is just me because I don't work in the hotel industry, but when I think of a hotel, I think of a place to stay overnight or on vacation, not necessarily events. Were the conversations that were happening in those conference rooms really driven towards, hey, we've got to get events here because that's a big moneymaker for us?
So I'm glad you asked this question, because people don't understand how much money is to be made in events versus sleeping rooms. When you we can go on and on in this conversation, all right? So, but I don't want to go on and on that, because this is what I do for over 15 years. Yeah. Understanding, like, where is the profit? So from a hotel perspective, from the ownership perspective, revenue perspective, sleeping rooms will generate a lot more revenue. So sleeping rooms, the cost of maintaining a sleeping room is 20%. Your profit is 80%.
Wow.
When you do a food and beverage events, your profit is 30%. That means the cost of maintaining the event space is 70%. But so if you look at those hotels that is like 3-star hotels or convenience stays, like the Residence Inn, or any of the hotels that has very limited space but a lot of sleeping rooms, especially for those extended stays, you will see that the event space is very limited, because that's not where the money is. Mm-hmm. But if you look at a luxury property, okay, there will be a good portion, I would say, of the total space that the hotel is occupying. I would say that probably 60% or 65% are all sleeping rooms, and then the rest is event space. So it's like a complimentary service. It's not a service by itself. Having said that, there have been hotels that I know, Raffles for being one, is there's only 105 sleeping rooms and they have like 30,000 square feet of event space. Wow. So the event space ratio is much higher than the sleeping rooms because that's what they're known for, events. So it depends on how the hotel wants to market themselves.
So at this point then with M2 Hospitality, talk to me a little bit about this concept and what you originally started at, where your initial concept started at, and then how has that changed over the years that you've been in business?
I think that once I started marketing event space, knowing how much it costs to own a venue and the things that you have to do in order to make it work, I decided that's not my thing. I just want to own a space. Planner. I do not want to own a space. Okay. That is not my thing. I can consult for someone. If they want to own a space, I can consult them how to go ahead to make a profitable business because that's what I did. But there are so many things involved and it's not that complex. But once you get the boilerplate down, such as understanding how to make it profitable from the financial perspective, like understanding how to price based on seasons, based on meal periods, based on how much square foot you want to make per dollar, revenue per square foot. You do all those calculations, understanding the operational costs of owning that venue, and you break it down. And what exactly is your income goal for that venue? Then we get all those things down, then you don't really have to change that much. Once that's done. The next thing you need to focus on is how to get people through the doors to know that you even exist. So my job as an event planner, as I evolve in M2, I always know that I do not want to own a venue, but I work very closely with venues so that I bring them business and they bring me business.
So in this exchange here, because you kind of have this insight of understanding how the hotel works, you're able to work with the hotels, work with the conference spaces to bring the type of clients that are right for that space so that they fill up their rooms.
Correct.
And back and forth.
Correct.
Okay.
So yeah, exactly. So I understand what that space needs, even not just hotels. For M2, we bring business to independent venues as well. So even with no sleeping rooms, but I understand how they make money, and I will bring my clients to them at the time that they really need that business. And that's when we have a bigger negotiating power. So I represent my client. But at the same time, I also understand what the venue needs in order to make money. So our role is to be a great partner for the venue and a great advocate for my clients.
I love that. It's that meeting right in between, that marriage, if you will. So I don't really want to talk about COVID too much. Obviously, COVID has changed the dynamic so much. Are you starting to see corporate, return to traditional conference spaces in a way that it kind of was pre-pandemic, or are you still seeing kind of a slowly evolving shift back, or is it completely changed?
There's no slowly evolving. They're back. They're back full force. So I would say in 2021, starting from September onwards, even probably from June, 85% the business are back to normal.
Wow.
So I don't think it has got any, I think people are just sick and tired of hearing about the different variants. It's just like a flu. Every year we have a flu season, right? Every year is a different variant. But people just got used to the idea that, well, it's a different variant. So we just continue to take our flu shot. We wash our hands. So I think people are no longer paying attention, that much attention to a different variant until that the numbers got so bad and the hospitals get all jammed up. That's when people will pay attention. But right now, just alert. Oh, okay, let me wear my mask, sanitize here.
Do kind of my normal things.
Right.
Absolutely.
And venue step out as well by reassuring their clients that we're doing our due diligence so you can come and have your events with us. It's safe to have your events with us.
Yeah. May, when you look at a venue, let's say that in this case, you're representing a client. You obviously have some venues that you've worked with before, maybe on the hotel side, right? Mm-hmm. I know personally, because we work with venues, a lot of venue owners talk about getting corporate events. And these are smaller, those independent venues, right? So they're not as geared for, big conference spaces or things like that. But how often in your experience have you dealt with corporate clients that are really looking for a very unique space that's not tied to a hotel or any sort of accommodations?
Huge. There are many corporations who are looking for independent hotels. I've done a lot of events at independent venues that's not in a hotel space at all, because they want to get away from their hotel conference space. So what they will do is, a lot of times they may just have their conference at the hotel, but when it's a last night, the very last night where they want to go out with a bang, normally they will ask to go out off-site. So I have done, or when it's a one-day event, if it's a one-day event, regardless whether there's sleeping rooms or not, they want to go into an independent venue. So for venue owners, I would say that depends on where you're located. If you're located in a business district where most of your business are corporations, that means you're busy from Monday to Friday. And then the weekends, you can decide is it cheaper to just shut down and not have any cost involved just by paying mortgage, right? But you don't have to run your utilities, no labor. Does it make sense to shut down? Or does it make sense that we actually do have a beautiful space that we can sell for social events? So do we go hard on those weekends and sell social events? So this is one thing that venue owners need to think about, which is why I say that there's so many things you need to think about as a venue owner. We can do another episode. I'm going to teach you exactly what you need to do to be a venue owner. But yeah.
And it comes back to numbers. I mean, and that's what you said to the very beginning. It comes back to knowing your numbers and knowing what do you need, because maybe the mortgage or how you had to get into the building means that you really need to take on some of those midweek events to be able to make a profit.
Correct.
So, and it all depends, like you said. So I think maybe we are going to have a follow-up episode to really kind of dive into deep about this. But this has been really, really fascinating for me. I'm curious, when you are now at M2 with what you've built in your company, what have you learned? What are some things maybe that you don't take for granted now, or something that you've learned that has changed in your perception of business from when you started? You said you're about 10 years, the company's about 10 years old.
10 years in.
Yeah. So what's something that you maybe thought that you knew or had dialed in at the very beginning that now that you're 10 years in, you have a new realization or a new perspective on? Is there anything that comes to mind?
I think that whatever business you build, in the events industry, people business, you have to really build the relationship with the people that you're working with. Because, I'm going to give you one perfect example. M2 Hospitality have zero social media presence. As in, we don't have our own Instagram page. We don't have our Facebook page. We just have a website that I don't really care too much about because all my business came through referral. And the referral all started from the venue. And I built my reputation and my business with establishing the relationship with venue owners. And I let them know how I can help them in terms of marketing the venue for them. And using their venue as for style shoot, for networking events, so that I can bring people to the venue. I want to be a good partner for them. And then they see how I function. And they say, you know what, I would love to be able to recommend you for people who come to my venue who needs planning services. So that I knew it was important at the very beginning when I built M2, but more so than now. There's so much noise in the industry. How do I get more business, right? You're spread so thin trying to be on social media, here trying to be on YouTube, on podcasts and networking and the whole 9 yards. Where should you focus your energy on? Focus your energy on building that relationship, especially as a venue owner, you want to build your relationship with people who's going to bring people to your venue, which are your event planners, event designers, your vendors, your caterer, your furniture rental company, your linen rental company, your destination management companies. Those are the people you need to bring, and your chamber of commerce to host events there. So as a planner, you want to be able to continue with the relationship with all these venues so that they know that you're there to help them and they will refer business to you.
I love that. That is such fantastic advice. And I want to push in just a little bit there to wrap up here today. How does a venue, somebody out there right now who's listening to this, they own a venue, or maybe they just started a venue and they don't really know what they're looking for? Like they heard you right now just say, develop the relationships with the planners, but there may be 500 planners in the market. There may be 12 or 10 different, rental companies that do linen to vintage rentals to different things. So how does somebody go about finding kind of that creme de la creme, that top level event producer, event coordinator, someone who's going to be a destination management company, right? Who is going to really, really do a good job and be a partner for them and not just waste time and energy and come to the events, but it's not reciprocal at all.
So like I always say, when you talk to everybody, you talk to nobody, right? So you have to determine your space. What is the aesthetic of your space? What can you offer? Like, what kind of clients do you want in your business, in your venue? And then based on the type of events that you want to do at your venue, based on the aesthetics, right? And your asset, do you have outdoor space? Is your indoor space? Is your ceiling high, ceiling low? What kind of business that you want? Then you have to start looking at the event planners in your area. Who are doing those events? Which vendors are producing events that will be a great fit for your venue? Which rental company has those type of furniture that will be perfect for your venue? Which organization handles networking events that have the end user is the people who's going to do events at your venue? Don't go for those people.
Got it. So targeted, really understanding your market or who you want, and then finding the people who serve those people to connect with.
Correct.
I love that. I love that. That makes so much sense. May, thank you for coming on here. I love talking to you, just learning about your business and hearing your incredible experience in, like, you have 25 years combined?
Oh my God. Don't age me. Yes. I'm over, I started the industry when I was 20 years old, 20, wow. And I turned 46 in 2 weeks.
Wow. That's incredible. Well, and I'm pointing that out because I think it's incredible when you have someone who's been in the industry for a long time and really seen a lot of things. I have noticed in my 10 years in this industry that there are a lot of people that go in and out. They do a little bit of event planning and then they become a real estate agent, or they do a little, and that happened obviously through COVID and through, in 2008 and 2009. And there have been these different cycles and seasons, but to have someone like yourself who has been working so hard in this industry and, continue to discover new things and new ways you can serve the industry. It's really incredible and fascinating. So thank you for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, and a follow-up question, and we're going to include some of these links in the description, but as far as if people are interested, they're hearing this right now and they want to connect with you, where should they be going?
So you can find me on Instagram, which is at May Yeo Silvers, MAYYEO SILVERS, at May Yeo Silvers. And then that is where you find most of my content. I also have my own private Facebook group. It's called Events for Anyone, EVENTS 4 Anyone. How to start and grow your event planning company. You can find me there as well, or go to my website, eventsforanyone.com. Yeah, you can connect with me directly. And we also have a workshop coming up as well on May 9th to 13th. It's a 5-day workshop that I host every 8 to 12 weeks. And I give you everything that you need to learn to do for building your own business. So I teach you about everything legalities about setting up your company, how to build a team, system and process, how to market yourself, how to price, how to charge premium prices as well, how to convert them. Mm-hmm. And I share my journey, how I built my business. It's not all honky-dory. Yeah. So you will hear from me my ups and my downs. So it gives you an insight if this is really for you. And if it's really for you, come on and learn and implement. I'm very direct. I give it to you. I don't sugarcoat, not fluff. And it's something that is easily actionable. So come join us for the workshop. It's very fun. And just DM me on Instagram. We send you a Zoom link.
I love it. I love it. May, thank you again for being on here. Everyone, May Yeo Silvers, it was really a good podcast. And again, I appreciate it. Check out all of her links that will be in the description below. And then if you're listening to this on podcast, we will have that on the podcast show notes as well. All right, everyone.
Thank you, Jonathan.